Hi, I'm Jason Molitor of Molitor, and I'm pleased to introduce today's speakers for the keynote presentation, Inviting Interiors, a fresh take on beautiful rooms. Melanie Turner Interiors has been recognized 3 times as ADAC Southeastern Residential Designer of the Year, Top 10 Designer by Traditional Homes, and awarded Kitchen of the Year by Architectural Digest. The firm's 13-person team has won over 30 ASID awards and has been featured in national magazines such as Veranda, House Beautiful, and Traditional Home. Melanie's passion for designing beautiful interiors transpires into sophisticated yet unassuming spaces that change the way people live. Her first book, Inviting Interiors, A Fresh Take on Beautiful Rooms, was published by Rizzoli in March of 2021. Betsy has worked with Atlanta Magazine in various capacities for more than 20 years, becoming editor-in-chief in 2017. During her tenure, the magazine won a Best Overall Excellence Eddie Award from Folio Magazine and was nominated for General Excellence Special Interest Ellie Award from the American Society of Magazine Editors. Betsy has served on the board of the Atlanta Press Club and was formerly a regular contributor to local NPR affiliate WABE. In 2015, she launched Atlanta's quarterly shelter magazine, Atlanta Magazine's Home, where she is currently editorial director. Previously, she was a freelance writer contributing to such magazines as O, Ladies Home Journal, Town and Country, Parenting, and Southern Living. And now I'll turn it over to Betsy and Melanie.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
This new world.
Right, it's exciting to be here.
Yes, it is. I'm so excited. Let's see. We'll get
Makeup on, clothes, all pretty.
I think it's this one right here. Sorry, working on the technical part here. There we go. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Design ADAC 2021. I wish I could see you guys in person. I want to start by congratulating ADAC on their 60th anniversary. The Atlanta Magazine is also celebrating our 60th anniversary, and actually this is the month. So our new issue that's on the newsstands for May is our anniversary issue. And we did 3 covers to represent the 3 generations of people who've been reading Atlanta Magazine. So go to the store and pick out your favorite one. And we've also just shipped the summer issue of Home, which has an interview with Melanie in it. And Melanie and I talked specifically about her use of the color blue. She says in her book that when she sat down and put all her projects together, she realized that blue was a common color. And so we talked specifically about that. And the summer issue has a special section on ADAC itself and the history and a lot of the people who helped build ADAC into such a great institution. So that's a fun read as well. And finally, I wanted to thank Molitor for hosting us this morning. Molitor's almost to their 60th anniversary. I believe Edward Molitor founded the business in '63. So in a couple of years, we'll be celebrating their 60th anniversary too. Couple of housekeeping notes. If you have questions, we'll be doing questions at the end, so put them in the Q&A feature. And then also signed copies of Melanie's book are available from Acapella, which is a local bookstore. So you can, if you're in town, you can go there, or there'll be a link in the chat feature that you can use to order your signed copy from Acapella online. So with that, I think we're ready to talk about Melanie's amazing book. Melanie, when was your book released?
6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago. Okay, so it's hot off the press.
Hot off the press, COVID time.
Yes, which quite a time to put together a book.
Right.
But first, I wanted to ask you on the cover image. Like, it's so hard for us even to pick, you know, an image for a monthly magazine. How did you pick the image that would be the cover of your book?
It is the hardest thing. And everybody told me that, and I didn't believe them. I'm like, oh, no problem. And then, when you do pick a book or a magazine cover, you want it to embrace all styles. And since I don't feel like we have a specific look, we can do modern, we can do Western, we can do beach, modern, mountain, city, whatever. I wanted it to represent everything. So it was difficult. This was one of the last photographs we took before the actual shutdown of COVID. In fact, it was probably second. There were two that I did, and this was one of them. And I felt like it represented everything. The sconces were family pieces of the homeowner. It has a CB2 table in the center, which is a high-low that we do design, antiques, modern, personal pieces. So it just all came together. And of course, the art really set it apart, which is America Martin.
Yeah,
So
that's gorgeous.
just all came together.
That's beautiful. This is a lovely portrait, and I think your book is organized around 5 themes. So clarity, colorful, calm, collected, and cool. And I believe this portrait was taken at the first project that we're going to talk about, the clarity. So
Pre-COVID, 15 pounds, people.
did it at the beginning of the pandemic, right?
Correct.
Well, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Clarity. Can you tell me what clarity means to you?
Crisp, edited, simplicity, just not even having to think, just almost a meditative state of walking into a space.
Mm-hmm. And this is a project, one of the projects that illustrates it. I thought it was interesting. You talked about this being sort of a California style house with like no hallways. Must have presented
Yes.
challenges.
Yes. Well, a lot of homes, when they're designed, it's just people think you have to have a hallway that takes up a lot of square footage. And a lot of times you're not using the rooms you think you're going to be using. This is a living room. So it's nice to have to walk through a space, whether it be a dining room, a living room, so you feel like you're using the space. At the same time, you have to really be conscious of how you're laying the furniture out. So I did two different seating groups here. One is a sectional, and actually, as you're looking at the screen, the television is in this area, so you can relax with your family and all pile up on a sectional. And then to the left which was the previous slide, is an area near a fireplace that you can read and be more a quiet space.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of clarity here too because of the black and white.
Mm-hmm. And I guess without the hallways, that can kind of serve as transitions. That was one reason to keep the house more cohesive from room to room.
Exactly. It's very cohesive,
mm-hmm.
room to room, but without trying to be overly done. Mm-hmm. This is a library and office. It's done with a black linen wall covering, and we did these little screws on the bookshelf that looks like a Cartier watch. So there's all these little details that add up to the sum.
That's awesome. And you just sort of flipped the color scheme on its head there, for the other, instead of the white being predominant.
Exactly. Nothing better than a mood room. Mm-hmm. You don't want everything to feel the same because you feel differently at different times of the day. Yes. We did plaster everywhere, and one of the hardest things that people don't realize is to keep a ceiling or that 6th plane clean. So it was very important for us. So when you walk into this house, it feels like you're in a shell because the Venetian plaster just shimmers. But there are no air conditioning vents. The speakers are behind the plaster. There's no alarms. There's nothing, which is very difficult. Not even a light fixture, because it's an evening room. So I don't want a light glaring over my head. Mm-hmm. So we think of that. It's really important.
And I guess you're very conscious of the shell of the space, all the planes and whether there's molding or how that interacts with the furnishings. In this case, not a lot of molding.
Yes, it's actually harder to do a house without moldings. I don't think people understand that trim came about to kind of cover up the cracks and places that things don't meet. So to do a space with nothing is actually a harder and more of a craftsman
Mm.
mentality.
Hmm.
So this house doesn't really have any trim. We did do moldings in the dining room,
Yeah.
but
I think we get to the dining room in a minute, but I have to stop at this amazing kitchen. um, that barrel vault tile is just so gorgeous. Did you have any particular inspiration for this kitchen?
I had actually done a similar kitchen at my house, so that was an inspiration because I have a 100-year-old house, so with 14-foot ceilings. So adding that tile, but really it came from Harrods in London, the old Harrods food court. When I was a young girl and went there, I was hugely impressed with it. So they tiled all the ceilings, and it just gives a lot of texture but simplicity. All this tile is made in Spain.
Hmm.
So it's
Wow.
beautiful. It's all handcrafted.
Yeah. And I think you told me that when you did this, you did the black cabinets, and that was kind of an er- early person for the black kitchen look. Did you
Yes,
get
very.
resistant?
I got a lot of flack from this, and yeah. So, but I won, and it's great because you obviously have a lot of white with the walls, and you don't have a lot. You don't really have any uppers. To the left is a breakfast bar, that tower you're seeing, and then to the right is another tower that's a refrigerator. So I balanced it with the seating on the left-hand side so that it was on both sides. But yes, I did get a lot of, now it's not a big deal, but when it was done, it was a big deal.
When we talked for the piece that's in the summer issue of Home, one thing that you said that I really liked is you said that you're sort of the purpose of having a designer is to do that, give you the courage really to do that grand gesture, to do the thing that you might not, a homeowner might not have the courage to do on their own, and sort of elevate the interior. And you're known for this. I mean, you're known, as you said, you don't see a room and say, oh, that's Melanie's room, because you have a wide range. But sort of what's in common is that you are um, take these leaps that do elevate spaces.
Well, thank you. I really owe my thanks to not only my team, but as well as the clients, because the clients allow us to hold their hand and jump off and
Yeah,
trust us, which to me gives you the best design.
yeah,
So I'm thankful for that.
yeah. And I like the way you incorporated those live edge tables. It brought a little bit of nature into the space. It kept it from looking like Harrods. Um, and I,
Exactly. And we cut the space. This is a great little pearl for everyone listening, that we cut the table in half so you can actually slide into the banquette instead of having to scooch all the way over, or at least have the youngest kid do that. So it's helpful.
yeah, well, like, you and I are both short. I'm always the one that has to scooch, so I appreciate
Hey,
that.
I'm not short. I'm sitting on one of those little burpee things, so I feel really tall today.
And then the bathroom, that you said that has a special feature like a screen or.
Yes. Well, we did the steel windows over here and in the shower, and it has an electric, which is, I love hitting it. So there's an electric button that brings the screen down for privacy if there's a landscaper or somebody walking by, or just at night if you feel more comfortable in the privacy of your own shower. But that's a really nice, because again, it brings the inside out. We're all wanting that feeling. So that's how we designed the left side. And then the right side um, is just a little bit of a deco feel. Again, the black and white, but very simplistic, with jewelry for the bathroom. Um, all this tile and design comes from a company called Source, which is amazing. And they're very helpful in just pulling off, getting the tub and tile. It's just beautiful. So
Beautiful. Okay, that brings us to the second theme, colorful. So that's that's an easy one to figure out what that means. How do you, a lot of clients sort of go the safe route and maybe want not a lot of color. How do you determine, like, I think you mentioned looking in their closets, or how do you sort of figure out where to go with the color?
Well, we do give our clients questionnaires, and one of the questions is, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite scarf, jewelry? What do you feel the best when you're in that color? So we look at that. We also look at how the house sits on the property. And really, I look at nature and just see the combination of whether it be birds or fashion and bring it all together. And the house kind of speaks for itself. I hate to even say this, but I always think of the house first and the client second, because I feel like the house is going to be there for hundreds of years. I know most designers don't admit that, but from a purist standpoint, I mean, this house is just spectacular, and the family is just as spectacular, just full of love and happiness, and their family is so important. I mean, the reason this room in itself doesn't even have a carpet in it is because these little girls do their ballet for their parents and they wanted an area to sit. So there's thoughtfulness behind the design. But in this case, the family and the homeowner had a lot of memorabilia and family heirlooms that she wanted to use in the space. And the house had a tremendous light, and yet they were young. So it was kind of like this fusion of old and new and a little 70s color, and just fun.
Yeah,
So that's where the color came in.
yeah. I like, you see this and it's very traditional with the chinoiserie paper and the mirror, but then you
Yes.
have this chartreuse velvet settee, which just, and the pillow, which really gives a little more verve to your typical.
Yes. The mirror was her grandmother's.
Okay.
So that was included in there, yes, which was important.
And this also, I think you talked about, the ancestor portraits. So we go back one. The ancestor portraits, you mix them with more contemporary. Sorry, there's a little time lag in this.
That's okay. Well, this is so interesting. You can kind of see to the right-hand side, the ottoman. That's the cover of the book, is to the right.
Yeah.
Over on the fireplace. But yeah, so they had, nobody wanted those portraits, and my client kept them, and we just incorporated them into the space. And to me, it makes the house look like it's their house.
Yeah.
That it's not my house, it's totally theirs. They bought the tables in France. So there was just this layering of, and using more modern, cleaner lines on the furniture just to make the house colorful. You couldn't overload this house. It could take as much as you gave it. But you notice there's no drapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't want any drapes because the light was beautiful in the space.
And here, I think you talked about mixing sort of the mid-century chairs. That another way to keep it feeling fresh is, to mix up your periods of furniture.
Mix up your periods, people. It just makes it not feel so stuck in a certain time warp.
But doesn't mean you have to get rid of all your period pieces.
No, 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 no. No, don't do that either.
The dining room is an excellent example of that. Like, on this, it has many traditional elements. Talk about the chairs and how you decided to upholster the chairs and why that was important, and the color of the chairs.
Well, so in this photograph, it's the client's original dining room table and original carpet. So we included those because she wanted them used, but these are just chairs from Ballard's. So we added, some inexpensive chairs in there, but the white makes it look fresh on the chairs.
Mm-hmm. And
the chandelier was when they bought the house, it came with the house. But what's so cool is that came out of an estate of another great house in Atlanta that Schutze had done, Philip Schutze. So it's cool to have the historical pieces in the house too. Yeah. We painted all the doors black, which would have been done at that period, again, to give some tradition to the house.
Mm-hmm. Now this is a fun room. These books had special meaning to the client, right?
Yes, but the crazy thing is it was at the end of the project. We did not see these books until we went to install the
Oh,
project, and just was serendipity. Like, we had picked the art out, we'd done everything. And then she says, hey, I don't know what to do with scrapbooks. And we just placed them up there, and it worked. So it was,
they were already that perfect color.
yes, she had done this herself, and over the years, just done different colors for scrapbooks. Yeah.
Oh, that's
But it's so nice because the couple actually sit in this room and talk, and it has 4 doors.
We're going to sneak
So
ahead to the really exciting piece in this space.
yes, so the door on the left was kind of like a silver closet, or just it went to nowhere. It was set up by the architect for symmetry. So we decided to ignore it because they had this original beautiful painting, which was originally in their dining room. And we took it and put it in this room, and then did this huge sofa. So it's kind of sexy and fun and down to earth all at the same time. But the whole room is monochromatic in the green.
And why did you make that choice? Why monochromatic?
For the art to stand out, and also just, even though this is in the colorful, because of the use of color, sometimes when you use all one color, it's calming to the eye, and it makes focal points for you.
Okay, and then we have a second house in the colorful chapter, and sort of threw this one in because it's a fun example. This was a younger client.
Yes, 20s, late 20s, and first house, and had to do it quickly. So a lot of things were, I don't want to use the word lost and found, but just purchased from garage sales. And we have an antique market here to go to, and just pulling different pieces, but still making it young and bright and fun.
And
But there's really nothing expensive in the space.
mhm. So sort of giving her bones to build on.
Yes, and which we give a big look for what was spent on here, but it's important to note, like, there are pieces that can go forward, like the console on the right is from the mid-century, and that can go into another home for her, and the accessories can be worked in, and the art. So yeah, so these are like $85 dining room chairs.
Oh, wow.
So, fun way of just pulling it off, and the art becomes important.
And
Here's a good example.
mhm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about the gallery wall and how that allows you to bring together high and low.
Yes. So a lot of times people have great art, but they just put it on one wall, and it's too small for the wall, or it's too large. The scale's not right. So a lot of times if you take all your art and just kind of put it together in what we call like a French salon style, it reads like a true collection, and it's creative, and you get to see all your art, even the pieces that you don't necessarily think are that great. All of a sudden it just shines. So it's a very creative way of displaying art.
And you use gallery walls often, I've noticed, and it's interesting. They're not always symmetrical. I think, in fact, maybe
No,
intentionally not.
yeah. Yeah, there's really there's no right way or wrong way. It's just whatever feels right when you put it up. I used to measure and lay them on the ground and put tape, and now I start in the center and I kind of work out. In this case, I didn't even start in the center. So again, no rules to break, just have fun.
Yeah. All right. Now the next theme is calm. So tell me about calm.
That's the word I always get from the moms and the women. They just want a calm space. Usually it's their closet where they can lock the door. It used to be the bathroom, now it's the closet. It tends to be lighter colors or more beachy feel. And again, not having to think, more edited. You don't have to, your eye is just calmed from the space, which then calms you down.
And I believe you talked about these projects are often sort of second homes, since calm is important in a second home. And so they often have fewer objects, but maybe scale becomes and texture are more important.
Yes, exactly. So we do large accessories, and like you said, if it's on all white house, there's a lot of texture going on. This is an Alice Beach house entry. So lots of white, but texture in the ottoman.
And tell us about that the light fixture.
Yeah, we buy stuff from all over the world. This was from Bali, and we just put a lighting kit inside of it and just kind of made it fun. It's always great to do your house kind of like how you dress. You could have a nice pair of jeans and a nice pair of shoes, and then just have a top from Zara. So it's high-low, and it just makes it more casual this way. We like doing sheers for the calmness of it. Water, the noise of water. It's just very simple.
I guess, yeah, the sound of water from that pool in the courtyard, sort of part of
Spells
the
vacation.
Yeah, I'd like to be there right now.
Right? I know. So again, simple, very simple. It's hard for a lot of people when they're doing design. And to me, we always look at a room and think there's a star and there's co-stars. Not everything in your house has to be that special. It's really hard for people when they're finally able to do a house that they want it to be that way. So a lot of times I'm having to pull people back and just, this is very edited, but you can sit in those chairs in a wet bathing suit. There's no art on the wall here because you don't need it. The architecture speaks for itself.
And the open shelves, easier to deal with in a second home where, I have way too many dishes to.
Exactly. So we kind of started this trend, I don't know, 10 years ago at the beach, where you would rent a house and you were opening 100 drawers trying to find a glass or silverware or whatever it may be. And it just became frustrating. So we started doing the shelves, and people would say, well, you don't have a wall. And we started putting shelves in front of windows, and it just kind of evolved from there. But the things that you use the most, and I get this, sometimes I get pushback from clients saying, oh, you don't want to open my cabinets, you should see how they are. And I was like, but you're using the same thing, so it can be all white. And then you also save on the cost of doing cabinets. You're not doing any uppers, and your house doesn't look so dated with all of that. So the drawers and the cabinets in the island are so much better designed these days that you can put pots and pans, you can put all those things, or have a nice big closet for the pieces you don't use all the time. So yeah, it just makes it easier. Again, that calm.
And plus, when you have, your college age kids go and stay there and break a few things, they're easy to replace.
Hopefully you don't notice them.
Okay, some more beauty there. Just want to collapse
and another thing to note here is not to be so scared of white, because you have all these high performance fabrics these days. So you can actually get this look. I mean, we constantly in our office are using wine in more ways than one, and pouring it on fabrics and just trying to see what works and what doesn't. A little laboratory.
Yeah. All right, the next theme is collected. So tell me your thoughts on collected.
Collected is kind of a feel of layering. It's just more is more. And so it just looks as though over a period of time, you have gone about collecting pieces. So it's a more layered look, absolutely opposite of the calm.
And how, collections are tough. I mean, back in like the 90s, everybody was all about collections, and there were little collections everywhere.
Yes.
And, some of them are very sentimental, maybe you're over the collection, but still you picked it up somewhere that has a memory to you. How do you help clients like sort that out? I mean, are you doing the take a picture and say goodbye to it kind of thing? Or
No, we try not to do that. We try to be very purposeful and thoughtful in collections, but at the same time, we don't like them we don't like them all over the house. I think it's better to group them in one space. Kind of photographs the same, because then it reads as a whole. So we try to have tell people that it looks better this way. And some, you know, even my own daughter had owls, was collecting owls, and she finally got to a point where she stamped her foot and she says, nobody ever give me another owl, I'm done, you know. So you do get to that point because people don't know what to give you. So now it's just chocolate owls you can eat.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I thought I would never get rid of all the roosters from the Pierre de phase I went through.
Right, that was a big phase. Yes, totally.
People kept giving them to me, like, you love roosters. I was like, well, 20 years ago I loved roosters.
Yeah, exactly.
So this house, I believe, is in Ansley Park,
Yes.
historic area of Atlanta.
Mhm.
You did a lot of interesting custom touches in this foyer that feel traditional, but are also very practical. Can you talk a little bit about this space?
Yes, well, this is a similar situation where this was a young family's home. When we started on the house, they only had one child, and it became three. So that's how long we worked on it. But we wanted it to feel fresh and have elements of classical design. There's a little bit of deco that we brought into the house, but not blatantly. And more so, we just wanted it to feel fresh and young and happy and colorful without it being in your face too. So the floor is a play on a black and white shack classical house. And of course, using black doors, and the clients loved staying in beautiful hotels. So the salon was done with a French element in there, but again, very modern and young.
Mm-hmm. I liked that this was a custom mirror that you designed.
This is actually, no, this was purchased. This is from Bali, and it's kind of an antique one with the lines. We did design the ottoman, which is so nice because it is a city house. So when the front door is the first door you see from the street. So they wanted an area to put their shoes. So we designed two ottomans so you can actually just slide your shoes under the ottoman if you prefer.
Nice.
So practicality.
Yes, there's some more with the space.
Yes. The staircase is curved, which is troublesome for a lot of people to put artwork on the walls. So we did this deco-y mural you can see on the left screen. So we did that, which is all hand plastered, which added a lot. And then you really can't pick it up in this photograph, but the stairs are ombre. So they go from lighter to dark as they go down the stairs, which is a really pretty little feel.
Living room's pretty amazing. I mean, you actually added some millwork to this room?
Yes, this is all new. So this house was taken down to the studs. There was nothing there.
Wow.
So yes, Young Pack architectural firm worked with us on this. And this is what's so cool. So things like the antique Murano glass were found, and we bought two of them for the space. But what I really enjoy a lot in the design process is connecting our clients with artisans. So we introduced these clients to a artist named Todd Murphy, who was from Atlanta and then went to New York, and he's since passed away. But when we were tearing the house apart, we found this wall covering behind the wall and gave it to Todd, and he actually made these two matching, they're kind of sister dresses, because there's two fireplaces in the room and they light up at night. So that was, again, a personal connection for the artist and the client, which
That's
was
so
nice.
cool.
Yes.
Really cool. And then talk a little bit about, why you put the screens in there and the difference in scale between the little sunburst mirrors and the screens.
Yes, so the screens were put there for architectural interest, but more so for pattern, because there's no window over there. And then the room from a balance standpoint was very heavy near the windows because we had used pattern, but we needed to shift it to another area. So we chose to do the screens as well as, and keep the furniture calmer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the little mirrors is just something that's whimsical. We try to put something that you normally wouldn't think of placing there. Most people would put art. So we try to add whimsy to the space. And those are all little crystals and jewels, all handmade on those mirrors. They're beautiful.
And this is cool. And again, I guess the symmetry brings in that traditional element to it, but with, not traditional furniture.
Yes, so just a lot of fun in here. Pattern without it feeling overly done. There's a metal art piece on the right-hand side, but again, you said like it was important in this space to have that balance. So yeah, it was the opposite end of the salon.
Love these spaces, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a gallery wall that you can see is not symmetrical at all, which is awesome. And it looks so cohesive, It's
Right.
great.
So the left side is the breakfast room and the kitchen. And again, we did the pattern, which we love doing pattern on floors because it's unusual for a lot of people. But it's really very traditional. If you go to Europe and you see that all the time, but for some reason here, everybody wants to make everything kind of more neutral, thinking it's going to date. Whereas I think if you give the house personality, the house will always speak for itself and be a shining light. This is this barrel ceiling, tile on the ceiling. Again, very French. And you see the door to the right, that goes into the previous screen, which is, we love doing sculleries or dirty kitchens, which was green. So we painted that room green that had all the flowers in it.
Fun.
The ceiling kind of mimics the metal window here. Waterfall. Yep. It's okay.
Talk about fun. Like
yeah, this is their lower level. The original lower level in the house had been done in the 70s, so we kind of went with that theme. The screen we actually found on First Dibs and resanded it and made it work in the space, and did these large man chairs and this kind of Elvis Presley antique mirror on the fireplace. So it gets a lot of use. It's fun.
Yeah, that's fun. And the nursery, which the ceiling is not upholstered, it's plastered.
It's plastered, and then there's fabric put on top of the plastered, and then there's ribbon all the details there. So this started out, shows you how long we worked on the project. This started out as a playroom, and then slowly became the nursery for the third child. So yes.
Wow, that's fun.
And the bedroom on the right is another daughter's bedroom.
Yeah,
and
sorry.
That's okay. And the space that was on the left was the mudroom, again with the carpet going upstairs. And can you shoot back to the last one? I was just going to point out that how important carpet just makes the space here. Like you can see all the fun colors that were going up, and it's just highly durable. So it makes for a good space.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of your spaces, I love how you use the different carpets. We'll come to, I mean, yeah, you use shag, you use wall to wall, you use rugs.
Everything. And then we had the client take all the photographs and print them in black and white. And we just use inexpensive frames and just put it in a hallway. Just a fun way of putting it all together.
Yeah. Here you really went, you can see the Art Deco, like the hotel really went all glam in the bathrooms.
Yes. So the one on the left, that great terrazzo on the floor comes off that black and white polka dot entry. And this is the formal powder room. So it's all glam and just beautiful. Every detail, mirrors. It's just so much fun.
No,
The one on the right is his master bathroom, and it's a total one whole slab behind his sink. And we gave the storage on the side cabinets, which is nice.
That's amazing. Okay, then our last theme is cool. Tell me a little bit about what cool means.
Well, cool is just, oh my gosh, hip. And this particular house we used blue in, but it just is, takes you out of reality for a little bit. Yeah. So this is another house in Alice Beach. We decided to go with a Riyadh kind of feel, and I had gone to Morocco during this project, so it was greatly influenced, and we decided to just tile the entire pool area, which I think is a later photograph here, but this is the entry coming into the house. I mean, it really does feel like escapism. And again, you can see the Moroccan carpet that's used here. another Moroccan carpet, and brass light was actually from Morocco. Beachy, but just really hip and different than you normally see. Lots of texture on the drapes, so these Pantone chairs, which a lot of you are familiar with. Yeah, they're plastic, but we had these hand crocheted, and they're like little mittens for the chairs. We have a cushion underneath them, which makes them comfortable. So just fun.
Yeah. And it's fun. The tassels sort of, I don't know, speak to your Moroccan theme and
Right.
a little bit.
Yeah. And Molitor has an amazing source for Moroccan rugs, like this blue here. And it has this fine line going through it. So it kind of feels like a fishnet. So you can find some really beautiful rugs like this one. So this was fun. So the bongo stools were kind of like chess pieces. They're all done in vinyl, so you can sit on with a wet bathing suit, Moroccan tile, and just kind of fun, right? Light, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fun. Sally King did the hand painted wall covering. She's a local artist here, done on linen, which made the space, and we custom designed the bed. And again, just instead of, a lot of times if you don't have a lot of space next to your nightstand for a lamp, it's fun just to hang lights there, and you can do it yourself with light kits, and just have, we added rope on this one, so it becomes like a casual boho kind of feel.
I didn't know that Sally did wallpaper. Did you get that made special, or does she?
We did, but she does that now. So yeah, so she has a wall covering line, which is fun. So this is the client's master bedroom. I purchased the lights in Morocco. We had a plasterer do those almond kind of designs. That's a Sally King piece done by a photographer, and then she paints on top of it. And then all this plaster, like the plaster shelves, were built all the way around the room. You can kind of see, which is done in Greece and Morocco and a lot of places. There's a wedding carpet blanket on the wall and a flat weave carpet on the floor, which makes it really interesting. And the clients wanted an octopus in their house. So there you go. An octopus.
I love that you mixed in, a little whimsy, like this, day bed.
Yes.
And then this amazing wall and floor.
Yes. So yeah, all the tile here is from Source. It has all that beautiful brass inlay, and the hand wall covering mural was painted by an artist, and the light is from Morocco. So it's just a village. And if you can see on the left hand part of the photograph there, we actually did a door hanging of rope that you walk through to get into the master bedroom. That was all custom made too.
There's your tile.
Yeah, there's me acting like I don't work with the photograph, saying, "Is everything look okay from up there?"
Yeah, you're on vacation.
Yeah, it's all fantasy, people. But anyway, this was an amazing pool. The client wanted waterfalls and color and just all out. They were just delightful in pushing all the buttons to make this work.
Yeah. Okay, then we have one more house, another beach house, I think, which had a unique theme to it.
Yes.
So tell us about.
So this house was built by MD Nesters. It was very large, 4 floors, right on the beach. And the client brought us her favorite scarf, her favorite piece of jewelry, loved blues. So the idea was to take the house and do ombre, starting at one floor, and either get lighter or get darker as we went. So hence the light fixtures. There are 4 of them in the salon. And in this photograph also, we took the wood floor on the floor and we put it on the ceiling. And then this room was built up because where you're looking at your screen is the ocean. So it's a night room that 2 of them can sit in and watch TV and then look out to the water. So it's moodier, it's darker.
Speaking of moody, and this is cool. Again, a little ombre touch there.
Exactly. Yes.
This is one of the I love the way you use the white shag. That's really
Yeah.
fun.
The books cause me lots of controversy with people. They're, I buy them by the box. They're very inexpensive. I'm an avid reader and love. My whole house can be filled with books. In this case, there's a book you can actually go on a treasure hunt, but it just adds neutrality to the space at the beach.
Mhm.
So there you can see that what we did on the ceiling. The cool thing is the console at the back is custom made. It's got a bronze front, but there's a huge television that comes out for football games. So they wanted it hidden, but that's there.
And this,
Go ahead.
just a little detail. I like the way the light fixtures you talked about not piercing the ceiling. Like, why this type of light fixture versus, your recessed lighting?
Yes. So again, we think of the ceiling as a 6 plane, and a lot of times, if you can have any control over when you're builders building the house where your vents go and cans, etc., it's really, really important because you can see how clean and pretty this looks. We try to do something different than just your ordinary cans and be able to have jewelry, because lighting is jewelry for the room. So that's what we did here, and it's kind of like how it was done years ago, so it's fun. The cool thing about this kitchen is the entire hood is glass. It's blue glass. So it
Wow.
looks painted in the photograph, but when you're in there, it's glass. And again, we
Oh.
did the shelving in front to be able to have access.
Yeah. Cool. I love the bed here. Is so fun.
Yeah, this is just a guest bedroom with, opens up to the beach, and they just wanted something fun. This is the master suite, a little seating area. Again, she loved blue, so blue was used. Powder room, you can see the different blues on the house. And look at how gorgeous that cabinet turned out with, you can see the wood finish underneath it.
That's gorgeous. There's another deep blue.
Yes. Who doesn't love a good bar? I love a walk-up bar that you can serve yourself and don't have to be the hostess, that it's all there for you. This was an existing, the painting is a llama that they have carried from house to house. So we use that as a basis and then added to that.
Nice. Okay, and then here's the most spectacular image. There you are, Melanie, at your house.
Yes, there I am. This is why I work, people. It's all for love of architecture. Yes, this is 100-year-old, based on a 17th century Italian Baroque home by Philip Schutze, who's a very notable architect in Atlanta.
Wow.
This house sat for a very long time, and like I said, it's 100 years old. And fortunate for us, it had only had 2 owners, so nothing was really done to it. Unfortunately, we had to do everything, so we're still working on it. So we're saving it for the next generation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time for some questions. So let's see here. We're getting to the questions. Hang on.
I have 5 dogs, people, not 2. I make my life look really calm. 5 dogs and a cat. And 8 people since COVID living with me.
8 people?
8 people. They all moved back in. That's why you should just live in an apartment. No, it's actually been amazing. Very, very, very happy and fortunate.
Okay. All right, so here's one question. When you start on a new project, do you have like a certain spot, a certain thing you always start with? Do you always, some designers love to start with a rug or start with a piece of art. Do you have a typical process?
The process really starts with the house and the period or the style of the house. Sometimes we turn that on upside down, and nothing is set in stone with us. So it could be a certain style, like an English Georgian, but we don't want to put English furniture in there, but we will pay homage to the English feel without it being like an English showroom. And then at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, we do a questionnaire, and it could be a color, it could be a piece of art. So to answer your question, no, there's no steadfast rule. It's just whatever is inspiring us at that moment, whether it be the client, the house, fashion, nature. It's just kind of like hits you in the head. At least it hits me that way.
Here's another question. Of your 5 C's, which is the most challenging to pull off?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think any of the C's are challenging. I think the biggest challenge is from the client, which is another C, is just letting go and trusting that you've hired this person. If you like, no matter who the designer is, if you like that look, and they have a variety, most designers have a variety of looks, you should trust them and go with it. Because I think a lot of times second questioning yourself or second questioning someone else ends up hindering the design. So I add another C to it. I'm like a politician. I don't answer the question.
I'll pin you down.
Right?
What in your own house? What's your favorite project you're working on right now?
In my own house?
Your own house.
In my own house, my favorite project. Oh my gosh, my favorite project in my own house. We have a little patio that's outside the kitchen that was probably used more for the people that ran the house. And so we're making that an outdoor kind of like, I don't want to use the word bistro, but we're putting outdoor lights out there and seating so you can actually sit outside and eat off the kitchen. So that's exciting for us. Adding some like maybe some rock stones like you would find in Italy on the road, like in that area. So that's exciting.
Yeah. What do you do? These more questions from the list here. What do you do if your client has no collections? Like your client really is a blank slate, hasn't collected anything, doesn't have any art. How do you get them started?
I actually think most people don't. I truly, and even if somebody had dishes, it's just like, you're not going to fill your house with dishes. So we kind of introduce them to artisans and different periods and styles and kind of awaken this desire and the love of the decorative arts. And so it kind of just is fluid and becomes more about them. I do find that once we turn them on to artists, they become friends and they like collecting that piece. And then we're like, okay, enough of that. Let's go to something else. So I'd say majority of people don't. And we just kind of show them different pieces and awaken them.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite high and low vendors?
Oh my gosh, there's so many at ADAC. There's Molitor, Bradley, our Hughes. They're that are high end, that do beautiful furnishings. We have CB2 has great low end items that we find cool things on. It's the gamut. It's totally across. We find things at auctions. I'm a huge garage estate sale person. I will slam the brakes on and do a U-turn and find, all the silver nobody wants anymore, that even when it's tarnished and you pile it up in an armoire or a glass front, it looks amazing. That's a really great way of collecting. Now I've just priced myself out of me collecting stuff, but so it's across the gamut. I never look at something in distaste for its price, whether it be high or low. It's more about its personality and how whimsical, and if it feels like it's the client's personality. So buy what you love. That's what I would tell you.
Do you always paint the trim and the walls the same color?
Mostly. I hate to use the word always, but most of the time it gives you a sense of unity. It gives you a canvas to work on. But sometimes we have, like, when we love using wall coverings, and we'll pull a color out of the wallpaper and just end up doing like a mustard trim. So, if you haven't figured it out yet, I don't have it. I like breaking the rules. As I say, I ask for forgiveness, not for permission. But for the most part, if I'm painting a house white, I do the ceiling, the trim, and the walls all the same color.
do you find, again, a little bit sort of burned from overdone wall covering back in the 80s and 90s, and I haven't recovered, but as it comes back and it's more artistic, do you find yourself using wall covering? This is my question, obviously.
We've been using wall covering for a long time. We love it, especially in places, that don't have a lot of architectural interest. It really gives depth and soul to the space in a very quick way. So I love wall covering, especially powder rooms and dining rooms and master bedrooms. It feels really good. That layered warmth.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this a little bit, but how do you design a kitchen space so that it doesn't feel dated, in 10 years?
That's probably the hardest question, because bathrooms and kitchens do date a house the quickest. I would say that white kitchens, everybody always loves a white kitchen, but there's ways of doing the white without and warming it up so it doesn't look like everybody's done Calcutta gold and everybody's done a white cabinet, which I still think is beautiful, and it's not dated. I just think that the pieces that you put in there, such as light fixtures, is a good example. So if you take a house and turned it upside down and shook everything out of it, the things that stay in the house should represent the house. And you should think to yourself, 100 years from now, are the lights going to still look good in there? Or does it look like 2021? Just because you like something doesn't necessarily mean it needs to work in, let's say, the public spaces of your house. Like my house has the original lighting from 100 years ago, and I've not replaced it because it looks just as good now as it does then. So those are the elements that you're putting in your house that, especially in your kitchen. In my kitchen, I was able to find antique window pulls that were used there's a famous apartment complex that turned to condominium years ago across from the Fox Theater called the Ponce Apartments or condominiums, and they were used to open the windows, and I was able to find them. So you can add elements that are new and old that makes it not seem right now, that it just is across all bases. Does that make sense? It was a long answer. Sorry.
Do you have any tips for selecting throw pillows for sofas or favorite little tricks?
Oh yeah. So I love a 22-inch pillow. I like it to have down in it. And I also like doing pillows for different seasons. So you can have a woollier, warmer, velvety in the winter, and then do a linen in the summer. And it's a really quick way of changing the color in your space. So you do light blue in the summer, and then you could do like a deep green in the winter. So I think that's pillows and paintings and plants are the cheapest, best way of fixing a space.
Another question, during COVID, everybody's been, working from home, and I think home offices clearly are going to be more of a thing. But are there other spaces that you find people are learning to use, or that you're trying to sort of repurpose unused spaces in people's homes? Is this something you've discovered during this last year?
Well, I think everyone has discovered how to live in their homes. I think that's the beauty and the silver lining of this pandemic, is that before it was just a dropping off of dry cleaning and suitcases and children and just this whirlwind of really not living in your home. Like we have these spaces that are our caves and our place to invigorate us and to calm us down, and for resting and for entertaining and being as a family, and we never used them. So I think overall, and I'm hoping that doesn't go away, that people just really use their spaces and appreciate their home and make it beautiful. So I would say overall, every room in my house has a desk in it now because there's a lot of people living in there. Everyone's using their outside patios more and actually dining because you got bored with eating in one area. So I would just say overall, the thing to take away from the pandemic is to use your home and not forget that that's what it's for. It's to embrace and love us and create beauty and memories and just enjoy it.
Well, I think that's a lovely place to end. And Melanie, thank you so much. I've
Thank
enjoyed
you.
chatting with you, and I love your book. And don't forget, people, you can buy it a cappella. You can buy signed copies. There's a link in the chat, or you can go to the store. And I want to thank Moatar for hosting us this morning. I can't wait till we see everyone in person
Yeah.
soon. So
Thank you.
thanks,
Thank you
ADAC.
so much, Betsy. Thank you, ADAC. Thank you, Jason with Molitar. This was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.